What's hood? What's Hollywood? Okay, I just been, scrolling through social media apps because I ain't got shit else to do. I mean, I haven't had any children out of wedlock. I haven't had any children in wedlock. I own my own business. So I don't have to clock in and out to a 9 to 5 every day, which means I have an obscene amount of free time. So I don't have nothing better to do than to scroll through social media and watch as you fools parade your ignorance around. Now, I've seen a few different people say that blacks can't possibly be racist. And in theory, it makes perfect sense. However, being that I myself have experienced said racism from blacks, I know that that shit is a lie. So let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Let's challenge each other's views on racism in the black community. I'm probably as light as they gonna come. I mean, seriously, I don't believe that I've never seen a light-skinned person as light as myself. Okay? And I've experienced my own family members telling me that I couldn't possibly be related to them. Kids to say some of the craziest shit out their mouth, but they only repeat the things that they hear from their parents. So imagine my surprise when my mother decides that we're going to move back to her hometown. We're going to move back to her hometown. And we're going to go and live with my aunt, which is her sister. I get to meet my cousins, right? The very first conversation that I had with my cousin was her explaining to me that I couldn't possibly be related to her because I was white and she was black, and that was impossible. Now, this may be something that's only going on in Florida. I don't know. I can't attest to whether it's reached outside of Florida or whether it's just saturated in Florida. I can, however, bring light to the fact that racism amongst the black community does in fact exist. However, whites have no knowledge of it. Because see, and this is just my own personal opinion, I believe that back in the days, during slave times, when the white men began sleeping with the black women and therefore making light-skinned women or light-skinned men as myself, you could imagine the level of frustration from the slave master's wife. She couldn't stand the beautiful high yellow women that the master chose to lay down with. She couldn't stand the beautiful high yellow children birthed out of the master's cheating. I mean, adultery. Like, white woman couldn't stand that. So the white woman got together with the original black woman who also couldn't stand us because we got to work in places that they couldn't work in. We got to live closer to the master than they did. We were afforded more privilege because of the color of our skin, more freedoms, more rights, more liberties. Now, I can't say why or when exactly all of this happened. All I can say is they don't like us. And they make it known that they don't like us. I have dated several black men whose mothers have basically had the view of me as if that little light-skinned heifer gonna get you in a world of trouble. All because I'm light-skinned. Matter of fact, I've witnessed beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light-skinned women be destroyed and drugged down to the point of being prostitutes, streetwalkers. People say that they're crazy. Don't talk to them, they crazy. And these be some of the prettiest light-skinned women I've seen. But the community has discarded them. The community has accepted them being made into victims because, as I said before, we're products of the slave trade. And if it was convenient for the black woman to obtain those liberties and freedoms by way of siding with the slave master's wife. So now you have to go deeper. You got to go beneath the surface. The white women, wives of the slave masters who chose to lay down with light-skinned women such as myself and produce even more light-skinned children, were furious with us. They hated us because our skin was just as light as theirs. But we looked it even better than they did. Master didn't want their ass. And instead of them realizing that out of necessity we laid down with the master so we could better our situation, they blamed us. They shamed us. And when the black woman saw this, the original black woman, when she saw this, she said, "Oh, motherfucker, that's my meal ticket, bitch." She said, all those freedoms and all those liberties that light-skinned heifer get, that I want so desperately, I'll make an alliance with the slave master's wife. And we'll work together from here until forever. Degrading, dehumanizing, demoralizing the light-skinned woman. Now, I'm sure y'all will say, oh, you know, Hollywood, only they always choose. Yes, Hollywood. Hollywood chooses the light-skinned women to put on the screen, or the fairer-skinned women to put on the screen. Yes, that's true. I don't negate that at all. However, in everyday life, in everyday living, look closer at what you see. If I, as a college-educated, light-skinned woman, can't even get my own family to recommend me for a job. See what I mean? My own family. You think they'll call one of their sister girls and be like, oh, my little niece need a job, and oh, they're not gonna do it. And because I'm the closest thing to white in this community, however, I lack those privileges and those liberties that the white woman lack or has, that makes me a target. All of the racism that they feel for whites gets taken out on me. All of the racism that they feel towards the master gets taken out on me. I just want to urge you all to open your minds, open your eyes, open your motherfucking minds. Do you think for 1 second that all your enemy can do to you is talk about you? Do you think for 1 second I am on YouTube airing out my dirty laundry because a bitch was talking about me? No, sweetie. I'm on this here social media platform airing out my dirty laundry because I am a victim of said racism. See, those alliances that were made during the slave trade, they have yet to be broken. And it's unsaid, undocumented, and unacknowledged stipulation between the two. If a white woman is threatened by you, she will use a black woman to get rid of you. Black women raise their sons to believe that them little high yellow heifers gonna get you in a world of trouble. And not only do they raise their sons to believe that, they sit on the sidelines when their sons decide that they want to abuse you. They watch it. They love it. Not only do they condone the abuse, they then come to you and tell you why it is that you should be willing to accept it. Stop fooling yourself into believing that you're not racist. Stop fooling yourself into believing that it's acceptable to isolate your light-skinned grandchildren. Stop believing that it's acceptable, because I lived through it. I mean, me and my cousins was in the same house, but my aunt saw fit to enroll me in a completely different school than the one that they went to. Maybe she thought she was doing the right thing for them. I know she damn sure didn't give a fuck about doing the right thing for me. Yeah, black people can absolutely be racist. Absolutely. And until you all truly look at yourselves It'll never change. You cannot expect treatment that you are not prepared to give. If you can't accept the half-breed offspring of the slave master who enslaved both you and me because of their skin color, and if you make excuses for yourselves and fail to acknowledge the genocide and the what is the word that I'm looking for? The perpetuation of racism. The world ain't gonna never be no different. I mean, if it wasn't no racism, why is it that no one in my family, no one of my so-called friends, not one of them has stood up for me? Not one. Because I'm light-skinned and they're not. And who cares about the little half-breed bitch, right? I mean, y'all can say I'm bitter about it if y'all want to. Y'all can say whatever the fuck y'all want to say. I really don't give no fucks what y'all say. I don't really give a fuck whether you watch this video or not. Because once again, I don't do this shit for the haters. I do this shit for those in need. I do it for those that have been through some of the same things I've been through. I do it for those who are possibly being led down the same road that I've walked down. It ain't gonna change until we change it. And it ain't gonna change until we acknowledge it. And a dark-skinned black person cannot speak for me. Just as I cannot speak for a dark-skinned black person. Just as a white person cannot speak for a black person. Just as a black person cannot speak for a white person. You don't reserve the right to tell me that the hell I've lived through isn't a product of black racism. You don't. You don't. You don't. You don't get to discredit or disassociate yourselves from the truth because it's not the truth that you want to adhere to. But your culture enforces that truth. See, black people have become so complacent with accepting slavery that instead of them finding ways to break away from the slavery, they instead have looked for ways to survive within the slavery. And when those masters that was raping those women died, you know, those wives was left in control. They shipped us away, shipped our babies in another place. Yeah. It's real. And like I said, I don't know if it's something that's just going on in Florida. But what I do know is that it's real and it's happening and it is continuing to happen. And until people who look like you realize that you have offended people that look like me, we ain't gonna never get past this hate, this disdain that you have for my light skin. Seriously. I grew up in the hood. And when I was like 3, 4, 5, those ages, my nickname was White Girl Number 1. White Girl Number 1. And I wore that shit proudly. I was proud of that nickname. White Girl Number 1. A black person gave that nickname to me. Black children and black parents never corrected them. It was cute. It was funny. It was funny. It was funny. And when you the only light-skinned person around and every goddamn body around you is either darker than you or plain old fluorescent, where do you fit in? Where do you fit in when the men that you love treat you with the hatred that they feel for the white man? Where do you fit in when your own family members dislike you because of the color of your skin? Where do you fit in? Because, see, being a half-breed is just the most confusing thing possible. I mean, where do I fit in? My own daddy didn't even fucking love me. Nigga ain't never came and seen me. He's Puerto Rican. I ain't never met him. Can't speak a lick of fucking Spanish if I wanted to. Don't fit in with the whites because I'm not fucking white. And I don't even fit in with the people in my own family because I ain't black neither. Stop lying to your motherfucking selves. Stop lying to yourselves. Because I remember those things that you did to me. I remember every time something fucked up happened to me and you motherfuckers said it was my fault. It was my fault. I remember the lack of justice. I remember the white police officers who handcuffed me at the age of 11. And I remember the fact that not one of my family members felt the need to stand up for me. I mean, my mama did the best that she could do. She did. My mama would go to bat for me. She'd come up to that school and cuss their ass out from the rooter to the tutor. But never, not once, not never, did my family support me or stand up for me. I remember one time I got into a fight with a group of little boys. over my little cousin Torrin and Tasha. I remember these boys was fucking with Torrin so bad because Torrin was different. Hell, I was different too. But they was fucking with him. We was at the little playground and they was fucking with him. Atlantic Oaks. On Atlantic Boulevard. In Jacksonville, Florida. And my cousin, this is her own brother. And she just standing there. Now here I am, the lightest motherfucking thing out there. And I got to fight with a group of boys. 3 brothers. 3 brothers. You think my cousin helped me defend her own brother? She sat on the sidelines and watched as I scuffled with these 3 different brothers. She sat on the sidelines and watched. She wouldn't defend me, she wouldn't defend herself, and she wouldn't defend her brother either. My cousin spent more time telling her mother things about me than she did standing up for herself. You spent our entire childhood telling on me. Our entire childhood, you was an informant, giving your mama information about me, talking bad about me, wishing the worst for me. And I can imagine you still feel that hate for me. And I could imagine within your mind that you can count all the times that you've tried to undermine me, that you've attempted to discredit me. And you looking at that shit and you thinking to yourself, how in the fuck is it possible? This bitch should be, I thought I've defeated this whole long time ago. I know you do. I know you do, cuz. I know you do, cousin. I know you can't stand my higher ass. And I've always loved your beautiful black skin. I've always admired your beautiful black skin. I've always wanted your beautiful black skin. But you couldn't stand me. And maybe you couldn't stand me because your mama always talked about me. Maybe you couldn't stand me because you wanted your mother to focus on you instead of using you to spy against me. I know all y'all had something to do with this. Because every single last one of them heifers that I came up against was a part of the LGBTQ community. A community that you spearhead, right? When I was having a relationship with a girl before you stepped into your lesbianism, you told on me. You snitched on me, bitch. Your mother went so far as to tell my then boyfriend that I was in a relationship with a girl. I wasn't even a grown-up. I wasn't even 18 years old, and your mama was worried about my relationship more than I was. And was using you as a mole. So when you think about all the hate that you have for me, turn that shit on the person who it belongs to. And when the black community openly speaks out and says that, oh, black people can't be racist, save that bullshit for the bitch who believes you. Because I know it ain't true. I've watched y'all degrade me. I've watched y'all allow for men to degrade me. I've watched y'all hand these niggas the ammunition they needed to degrade me. I've watched y'all stand aside, persecute me on every fucking corner. And I know what you did. I know what you did. I know what you did. So, like I said, racism amongst the black community is very much alive and thriving. Now, it took a long time for me to get to this point. I'm 40 years old. It took for me to be criminally infected with HIV by a medical provider who I'm sure in one way or another has ties to my family. These were all lesbian women. About the same age that you is, cousin. See, I never wanted to believe that my enemy could actually touch me. But in a society where blacks are not being held accountable for their underhanded racism against their own people, in a society where if the majority stands on one story, then it's so. When you have all stood on one accord to make me out to be the fucking problem. It's funny though. As soon as I started climbing that corporate ladder, as soon as I mean, y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. Y'all can think whatever y'all want to think. I'm just here to open minds and put some topics on the table and be honest with myself and be honest about others. You know, face yourself. Shit. Bitch told me to come and get tested. 45 days later, I was HIV positive. Nobody I've ever laid down with has HIV. And if they do, they ain't told me. I know y'all did this to me. I know y'all did this to me. I know your hand stretches far and long, auntie. And for some strange reason, I know that my father is included. I know he got something to do with it. I know I was beneficial to y'all at one point in time until I opened my eyes. And when I opened my eyes, Surprise, surprise. All of my enemies came out of hiding. You've done everything you could to destroy me. Everything. The least you could do is be honest with you. Now, y'all be good to yourselves. Y'all be good to everybody else. And don't take nothing to hit that subscribe button.